showing you guys my Trickstar deck profile. So yeah, I've been playing this deck for ages now, actually since the release, and personally this is my favorite build of the deck. I like more burn focused build to the deck that also has a combo side to it. This deck's really actually decent against the meta. It can beat decks like Drytrons, Salamangreats because of Droll Reincarnation, and many other win cons this deck has. There obviously are weaknesses, one being consistency, but it's really fun, and I think you guys should give this one a try before you go into a different profile. Anyways, let's go and get straight into this video. We are starting this profile off by playing 3 copies of the main Stratos, Candina. This allows you to add a Trickstar card from deck to hand, and it burns your opponent for 200. Not saying that Light Stage or Dark Room's on field, but it's pretty good. It's really good. This is now also a once per turn, so you can loop it through stuff like Licorice and Chain Summoning. Then, speak of the devil, we play 3 copies of Trickstar Licorice. This is basically obligatory. There's no reason why you're running any less than this card. This literally says each card that's added to your opponent's hand from anywhere, burn them for 200. Then you could have stuff like Light Stage and Dark Room, which would equal an extra 1,000 every time they add a card from deck to hand. Or anywhere to hand, technically. Also, it can help your Candina and any other Trickstar monster resolve properly by dodging stuff like that would target it as the cost for the resolution of the negate. So this card is very good. Then 1 copy of Korobane. I don't think 2 is necessary. If you want to, there's ways to fit in a second one being Cutting Called by the Grave, but I honestly think 1 is enough for now. 1 copy of Lilybell. Lilybell that's basically self-explanatory. It's literally the reoccursion factor of the deck. It also allows you to actually loop it and add stuff like Korobane and Licorice, which can create some pretty nice loops and burn damage. Then this is more of a tech card, but we are running 1 copy of Trickstar Narcissus. Almost all effects right now are actually being activated from the hand and or graveyard, so you might as well play a card that deals with all of that. And it's also extender for the FTK if you want to play that. So then we run 3 copies of Droll Reincarnation combo. This is Droll and Lockbird. This is one of the best hand traps in the format. Honestly, I think it is the correct hand trap to run in this deck, especially because Droll Reincarnation is so powerful. If you don't know what it is, it's basically your opponent has a card from deck to hand, or you could set up double Reincarnation, and after they add from your deck to hand, you go on Resolution, activate Reincarnation, Chainlink 2, Droll and Lockbird. They do not draw and they banish their entire hand. So that's pretty self-explanatory why that's good. Then we have 2 copies of Phantasme. This does conflict with Goza Match since we were focusing on lights, but going first and second, these are basically just mandatory. They help you get 2 cards deeper in your deck, and if you don't see Goza Match, you want that extra amount of protection for your Licorice. So it's very powerful. Then we have 2 copies of Nibiru. This is still more of I feel it's more focused in the side deck, but I'm playing it because you need a light hand trap that can slap itself on the board if you do not manage to get to Candina and you get hand trapped. So this card is really good, especially in the Prank Kids and Sky Striker matchup. Both the cards are. More of the Prank Kids, I guess, but yeah, these cards are amazing. I play 2 of each because they're kind of clunky at 3, plus I don't want to see doubles off each other. Now for the spells, we run 1 copy of Trickstar Light Stage. It's pretty self-explanatory why we run 1. 1 being that it's at a copy per deck, so you can't run any more. Rest in peace Light Stage. But this card's pretty crazy if you don't know. It adds extra 200 for each time your Trickstar monsters deals damage to your opponent, and it's a back row lock and a Surger. So you can kind of see why this card's at 1. But yeah, you're mainly trying to get to this and or Candina, so yeah, that's basically it. Then 1 live stage, this can add a Trickstar on activation from the graveyard to the hand, and can summon 2 free tokens that can be used for stuff like Trickstar Bloom, Diviridius, and many others. Then we have Terraforming, which is basically your 3rd field spell, or a second way to get to live stage or light stage, and then 1 Monster Reborn and 1 copy of Magical Laurel. I decided to play 1 Laurel and 1 Reborn just because Laurel is a hard once per turn, so I felt that even if I was locked into Trickstars, I think just having the accessibility to summoning to my opponent's graveyard is really good. And it's not once per turn, so that's another factor. Then we have Called by the Grave. I personally play it. I mean, this could be the spot where you swap out second Korobane, but I think it's really good, especially in those scenarios where you're kind of relying on stuff like Terraforming and Light Stage to get you to Candina. Then we have the new card, Trickstar Festival. I actually picked up a few of these while I was at locals, but this summons 2 Trickstar tokens that can be used for stuff like 1. Diviridius, 2. Blooms, or even a Holly Angel, but you know how I feel about people going into Holly Angel with Festival. That's not the right play, let me just let you know that. But yeah, this card's amazing. This is the brand new card, and it packed a whole lot of heat in the deck. It also has a built-in protection effect, that can literally snag games if you know what you're doing. Then we play 3 copies of Dark Room and Nightmare. This makes sure that if Light Stage is on field, you'll be doing 1,000 for every burn damage a Trickstar does. So if they add 8 times, that is game. If they activate a spell 8 times, that is game. It's a very, very good card. Then 3 copies of Chain Summoning. This is basically what you create your FTK out of. This, Dark Room, and Candina, there's obviously ways that you can pull off the FTK without Chain Summoning, like I've proven in the past, but mainly you're trying to get to Dark Room. Chain Summoning just helps in those scenarios. Then we have 3 copies of Pot of Extrav. This card is basically self-explanatory. You can't run Prosperity. Trickstar's main win condition, if you don't know, is to burn. And if you can't burn, you're not playing the deck correctly. Access to Candina is very, very important, but there's other factors that can really mess up, 1 being battle damage, 2 being effect damage, and, you know, Prosperity doesn't really do much at the end of the day. It can get ashed, which is even worse than if you get ashed on Extrav, so. Anyways, then we run 3 copies of Goza Match, which is basically an auto win to most of the decks of the format besides Salad and Drytron. Like I've said multiple times, this helps my prank kids if they don't draw Twin Twisters and just a lot of other rogue and meta strategies. Then we play 3 Reincarnation. It's a Monster Reborn and a Hand Rip in 1 card. Also, it can make a hand loop just by opening these 2 or making access to it. So yeah, you might as well run 3. Now for the extra deck, we run 3 copies of Hulling Angel. The 3 ofs are mainly here, the 3 and 2 ofs are mainly here just because of stuff like Pot at the Extra, and even not, I'd still run 2 and 3. So yeah, 3 Hulling Angel, this is the one that generates the FTK by burning each time a Trickstar is summoned to the zone of it. Also has a protection effect where it can be destroyed by battle or by card effects. So if they're pointing to Hulling Angel, or Hulling Angel rather is pointing to it, they can't be destroyed by battle or card effects. The 3 copies of Bloom, this is basically, you can make this using a level 2 or lower Trickstar monster, and it can force your opponent to draw a card if you want to. So this plus Licorice can actually do some pretty hefty burn damage. I wouldn't recommend going into it too much, but the options are there. Then 3 copies of Diviridius, which is the most meta relevant. I've set up many scenarios where I open Light Stage plus Dark Room, and I can basically just set up Diviridius plus a follow-up, and they get burned 1,000 times for 1,000 each time they summon a monster, normal or special summon. So yeah, this card's amazing. Plus, even if you don't have Light Stage, you can set this up plus Holly Angel, and we basically just treat it as if Light Stage was on field. Then we run 2 Bella Madonnas. I think 2 is correct because you kind of want to see, even in the grind game, just each turn being able to burn your opponent for 200 times the amount of Trickstars you have in graveyard with different names is so good. I even thought about playing this at 3 at a time, but yeah, this card's really good. I think 3 is a little bit too much though. Then 1 Crimson Heart for utility. Same thing with Black Cat, and Foxy Glove is actually the last Trickstar. I wanted to play Sweet Band Guitar and I think Dandelion or Dandaflume or whatever it's called, but they just didn't have the greatest effects. I mean, Sweet Band may come up in the future, but it's not that great. Foxy Glove, it just says summon a level 2 Trickstar from the extra deck if it gets destroyed, and it burns for a boatload of damage depending on how many cards they control, so it's really great. Then the last card in the extra deck is Barricade Board Blocker. This card doesn't really come up, but in theory, if you're really low on resources, you can always turn a Licorice into Corvain and just discard a free card like Reincarnation just to get back your Light Stage or your Life Stage depending on what scenarios you're going for. Then we play for the side deck 3 Artifact Lancia, 1 copy of Phantasme, and 1 copy of Nibiru. These are really here just for the rogue matchups, plus you don't want to see 3 and 3 in hand or even multiples of this card in hand, so I think it's better suited for the side deck because you always can side Duster and your copy of Phantasme or another Nibiru and Duster if you ever need to. Then 3 copies of Cosmic Cyclone. This is mainly here for matchups that have pesky back row. I mean, I wanted to play more back row focused cards or more board wipe focused cards, but it's kind of weird because Trickstar has a problem where you can't play stuff like Droplets or Dark Ruler because it turns off one of their main win conditions, burning. But yeah, anyways, the next card is Harpy's Feather Duster. This basically says to destroy all spells and traps your opponent controls. So this is amazing. It's at 1, I currently got 1 in the deck, so yeah, it's definitely worth playing. The 3 copies of Solemn Judgment. This is basically self-explanatory, there's nothing to explain here. This is mainly here for 2 and 3, going against stuff like Tri-Brigade, but you gotta know when to properly time a judgment. If you don't, then, you know, you're not gonna be playing the card right. And it's definitely gonna hurt in certain scenarios. Then we're running 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence, which I think could be evenly matched. The real reason why I'm running this over evenly matched is because there's some cards in this format where you just can't let resolve no matter what. Stuff like Alistair and stuff like a lot of really dependent normal summons you just can't let resolve in this format. And that's one reason why I'm running Imperm, but I feel Gozo Match already covers that, you know, with locking them into Dark once they summon Alistair, so, you know, this could be evenly if you want, but another factor is Lancia. So yeah, that's really about it. One thing to say though, if you don't want to put the time and effort into learning Trickstar and all the meta matchups and every interaction, it's going to be a hard deck and a really rough road to learn on. So anyways, this is the deck profile. I know you guys have been requesting it for it, but I hope you people enjoyed. This is Glass Gaming and I am signing out.